Today's AskReddit post. What is sex like when you are old? 80 plus. Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. Similarly to Uke Jones 2014, my mom worked in a nursing home and caught them doing it all the time. Best story I know of was this. A 101-year-old retired nun was caught with a 99-year-old retired naval officer by the nun's family. They were so mortified that she had lost her virginity to this man and broken her vows that they sued the nursing home, and my mom was required to testify. At the hearing, it was stated by the prosecutor that she, the 101-year-old nun, was no longer capable of thinking for herself due to her age and thus suffered from diminished capacity. She was therefore not of sound mind and the home was liable. Defense brought in a psychologist who had given her a series of tests that showed her of sane mind. The clincher though was the nun's own personal recorded statement that pretty much recorded her as saying, "I got tired seeking comfort with my sisters 40 years ago and wanted to feel the touch of a man as a last wish to myself." Case was dropped and she had passed before it officially went to trial. Edit. Run on sentence fixed. Good for her. Damn, who doesn't want a bit of peen sometimes. Edit spelling. Sometimes you get some, and sometimes you get none. Edit. Gobsmack. I've been gilded for a nun pun. Slightly smiling face. I'll be sure to share the wealth. We always wondered what she meant by seeking comfort from her sisters. It's been a family joke for years. Just some gals being pals. From what I can gather from this thread, 80-year-olds get more sex than the vast majority of petulant redditors. My time is yet to come. So is my dick, and my axe, and my bow. My grandfather once told me that he kept a hammer in his bedside table so that if he brought a lady friend home he could whack it and tell her to jump on before the swelling went down. I miss that old man so much. ETA. Thank you for the metals. I'm glad Grandpop has brought so much joy to everyone today. He was an old coot who loved to say things to make your jaw drop, so I know that he's up there laughing his ass off right now. This is my favorite one. Old people with a sense of humor are the best. You see sense of humor. I see old dude genuinely explaining his technique, sharing words of wisdom with the future generations. OP. Good joke. Grandpa. Who's joking? Grabs hammer. From what I hear, at least around where I live, stees are weirdly common on people over 70 because they decide to be super active at that age and don't wear protection. So that Parks and Rec episode wasn't too far off. I'm an old lady. Why do I need birth control? I haven't had my monthly since LBJ was president. Wait, are all these old people really having sex with each other? Yep, they're all gonna die soon, so why not go out with a bang? An older guy. I think he was at least 75 when this occurred. I used to work with one, said his wife was very traditional, so it was only missionary for the most part. He said she had amazing tits though and he always wanted to duck them. He bought a Tempur-Pedic fully adjustable bed for Christmas as a present for both of them. Next time she was in the mood he tilted her upper body just right and finally got to duck her tits while they were going at it in missionary. Don't let your dreams be dreams. That old grandma Thurdaker is a goddamn inspiration. He is a man of focus, commitment and sheer ducking will. He ducked a grandmother's tits for Christmas. Who the duck can do that? You can. Fun story. When I was a college kid I went to my maternal grandfather's house. He was at least 80 and has always been known as a womanizer. I believe he was married about 5 times. Anyway, when I got to his house, he had a VHS tape on top of his television which said sex positions for hip pain and another one. Yes, he had 2 that said sex positions for the elderly, so there you have. Grandpa was getting it on with some help from his friends. The guy I dated in college was a good friends before and after we dated. I knew his family well. He was super close to his grandparents. His grandparents both graduated from our university. His grandma passed away a bit after we graduated and his grandfather died a couple of years later. We weren't talking regularly at that point, but this guy called me when he was cleaning out his grandparents' house. I answered the phone and he was manically laughing, crying. I honestly thought his mom had died. Nope. He was cleaning out his grandpa's office at the house. Gramps being a Baptist pastor, and found a big box of old sex toys and lube that had clearly been their toy box. He was horrified and cackling on the other end of the phone, and called me because he just had to share it with someone that knew them and didn't know how to tell his mom. I still get a random laugh about it when that story pops into my head. This is why I have a pact with my best friend. Whoever dies first will go clean out the freaky shit from the other's house before their family is tasked with going through their belongings. If you do it doggy style, each jab will have your balls smack her in the face. How do I unread something? I'm going to go grab a blowtorch and burn my eyes. That's enough Reddit for today. That's not a bad thing. While repairing my grandpa's laptop, I saw that porn is still a thing in this age. 75 yo. When I was real young, I was at my grandparents' house and a porn pop-up came up and it was a dude ejaculating into a girl's mouth, and I asked my grandma innocently, why is that man peeing into that lady's mouth, and I forgot that ever happened till I read this thread. He was around 65-70 at the time. Edit. It was my grandpa's porn. But my grandma was the one that walked in when the pop-up popped up. Glad we could help you dig up some long buried trauma. We did it. Reddit. Wholesome 1000. Just go to the old people home, grab the boombox and hit the turbo bass. Although what happens next will be a total disgrace. I knew it was the boiled goose. Everybody started having seeks. The music was way too powerful. A bunch of old people ducking like rabbits. I went fishing with my grandpa when he was around 84. I asked him, "Grandpa, when do you stop thinking about pussy?" He turned to me and said, "I don't know, sonny. You'll have to ask someone older than me. Your grandpa sounds like the man." I am very close with mine as well and have a similar story. I went to law school a few blocks away from where my grandpa has lived since before I was born. I was living in an apartment near him and school. Unfortunately, I had a neighbor file a complaint with the board and try to get me kicked out of the building. Since I had to hire a lawyer, I needed his support, and in getting that I had to explain the case. One of the counts listed by the board's attorney was conduct of a personal nature intruding into the hallway, which I explained to him as basically fancy legal jargon for loud sex. Without skipping a beat, my 84-year-old grandfather goes, "Look, Dillard 007, I love screamers, but you two have got to keep it down. I ended up marrying that girl and he really likes her, so I guess it's a good thing." On the other hand, I could have gone my whole life without knowing my grandpa's opinion of screamers. I'll attempt it at age 112. It's not related, but I just thought I'd say this. 112 is 911 where I'm from. Have a nice day. Edit. For everyone asking, Croatia. Comma, for everyone asking, Croatia. Just to be clear, 112 is the emergency number in the whole EU. Ireland and Poland also use 999. 999 is for ambulance, 998 is for firefighters, 997 is for the police, 112 is for everything. They just send what is needed, at least in Poland. If you're both fit and healthy, probably pretty decent, at least. My 87-year-old great aunt and her partner of a similar age are definitely banging. A lot. She had a shite life with a very controlling mother and sister. Was forbidden to even date her whole life, although she probably did in secret. But having a stable relationship would have been out of the question. When her mum and sister eventually died, lo and behold, she suddenly got a boyfriend living with her. Good for her. They totally bone like rabbits. They're both very healthy and spry for people in their 80s. Plus, she has a filthy sense of humor. Then again, she is Irish XD. Good for her. Don't know about 80 plus, but at nearly 70 it is still excellent. You have to adjust to the aging process, but with staying fairly fit it is still the finest free thing I was ever granted except my birth. I hope to be enjoying it at 80 plus too. Thank you for giving one of the very few proper answers to the question. No problem. It's always been a mystery to me that people won't be honest about their sex lives. It's not as if sex is uncommon. I've often thought this is part of the reason people have issues. There really isn't that much to be bothered about. Not many of us are perfect. We all have bits we don't love. We all have times things don't go greatly. If we shared truths we would understand more and potentially find understanding, help and, God forbid, tips on better enjoying our sex lives. Welp. According to my mom who used to work at a nursing home, they are very active. Apparently they also had a residential RPS there too that the staff had to watch like a hawk because he kept attacking all the bedridden women. They couldn't really do anything legally though to remove him from the facility because he wasn't considered mentally competent anymore. So yeah, that was a thing. WTF. It's somewhat common for those with dementia to lose control of sexual urges. It is sad and gross for everyone involved, which is often their own family members or nursing home staff. I work at a nursing home, 18 years old male, and one of my dementia patients called me over to her and told me she wanted me to have sex with her. Then she started doing inappropriate movements with her hand. She did this in the dining area with 2 of my colleagues and like 5 other patients around. I had to leave the room because I couldn't hold it together any longer. Laughed so hard, it caught me so off guard as well. This lady is so sweet most of the time. I never thought she had it in her. Guess that's one of the many things dementia does to you. It's incredibly sad, but in the moment I found it so funny. Hey man, you probably could have got to gummer from her. Normally you have to pay extra for those. I don't see a lot at the home where I work, but there are a few more promiscuous ladies. Mostly old dudes asking the CNAs for favors or looking down their shirts or touching them inappropriately. I'm a male in my 30s. I get propositions semi-jokingly probably 4-5 times a year. You think it's a joke, but it's not. Semi-related life pro tip: if someone jokes about doing something romantic sexual with you, they are more than likely not joking. That's how I lost my virginity. Do tell. I think it happens in black and white with a really grainy filter and old Timmy piano music. It ceased to exist in my 40s, so I'm guessing more of the same. BRUH. I'm told it's fine whilst not that old, yet I'm old enough to have friends in that group. Slower, less often, but still pleasurable, especially as very often it's couples who are truly fond of each other, who know each other inside and out and understand what makes each other tick. Man, retirement sex probably kicks ass. You're retired. Not much else to worry about, since at that point there's only so much you can do about health finances. Not to minimize the seriousness of being a senior citizen, but it reminds me of my Cory catfish. They have a huge tank to themselves with no predators, so they spend all day eating, sleeping on stuff, and mating. I mean, people can be all you old people all they want. I don't see that. I see a group of people who have lived through and gotten over the stress of their life and now just exist to do what makes them happy, including having sex. You think 80-year-olds are cruising Reddit in the middle of the night? Nope, they're too busy banging. I hope it's still bomb. I'm still trying to deep throat and ride at 80. Smiling face with halo. Gums only. Like 2 sacks of potatoes smashing together. Like hairless cats fighting in a pile of pizza dough. Semicolon stolen from the Goldbergs. Old people get more sex than young people because young people still think they have time to wait, and old people think they waited too long. I mean, by the time you are 80 everybody is ugly and has a lot of health problems. I think it doesn't matter at this point if someone lost his teeth and the other can't walk straight. I was hoping to find answers like I forgot. Imagine your whole body is made out of saggy ass cheeks and they're all clapping unenthusiastically. Fuck man, why? Reminds me of a joke I heard years ago. Man and woman decide to stay in the same hotel room they stayed at during their honeymoon for their 60th anniversary. Man goes into the bathroom to do his nightly bedtime routine. Comes out to find his wife naked, standing in her head, legs wide apart. Shocked to see this, he says, "Gertrude, why are you like this?" Gertrude answers, I figured since you can't get it up anymore, the least you could is drop it in. Apostrophe. I threw up a little in my mouth from imagining this. Thank you. Why? That was ducking hilarious. A really smooth bowel movement. Not much different to my current sex life. 3 years after my grandma passed, my grandpa, at age 82, got remarried to another woman his age who was also widowed around the same time. I heard through the grapevine that she was bragging to the other older ladies at coffee about how much action she was getting. Initially I was a little grossed out, but you know what? I'm damn proud my grandpa was getting laid. YTF you wondering? Good question. I was discussing sex with a friend of mine and the conversation came to this. Neither of us knew. So thought Reddit might be able to help out. This is Reddit. Most of us don't even know what sex is like in general, let alone after 80. We're in our 70s, married 50 years, and it's awesome. Not as often as in our 20s, but better orgasms. No hurry because of kids or work. Much more fulfilling. Thank you for giving one of the very few proper answers to the question. Did a summer holiday working at a care home and the staff were full of stories. There had been love triangles, guests sneaking into each other's bedrooms, playboys in their 90s and even residents who had cheated on spouses still living at their home. It was even raunchier than my uni that year. Follow-up question I've always wondered is how often are paramedics called when older people overexert themselves? There has got to be a 911 code for something like another heart attack from old folk humping. Kinky. I mean, I'm in my teens, a boob-shaped shadow would make me crazy. In 20s I had to spend some time on Pornhub for that particular video. Now, in my early 30s, I have to dig darknet for hours just to get hard. I'm scared to think what would make me horny in my 80s. Sounds like you have a problem, my man. I imagine it would be like slapping 2 carrier bags full of mayonnaise together. I can clearly hear this. Who TF is 80 plus and uses Reddit? 80 yo redditors. No he has a point. My mom is 80 this year. About 10 years ago, one of her good friends, who was 88 at the time, went to her hometown to visit an old boyfriend for sex. When she got back, she called and told my mom all the details. She died 2 weeks later. Apparently, this man was quite handsome and only 70. He was at her funeral and had the senior ladies all aflutter. Even my mom wanted a go at him. I'm gonna be really honest. I don't wanna know. Here's an upvote anyway. So I heard you wanted some and wanted information. I got you. My mother meets up with an old friend of the family from time to time. This poor guy recently lost his sex partner. They did it so frequent and weird stuff you don't really want to know. The only thing I know about it is you need a lot of lube at that age. Anyway, he tried to get with my mom on multiple occasions, like kissing and touching her in inappropriate places. Like climbing pizza dough. My dad is 75, and since my mother died a couple of years ago he's been making up for lost time. He's apparently quite a hot commodity in the over 70s dating circles, as he's still got his own teeth and everything works as it should. Problem is, he likes a younger woman, because most British women over 70 look more like Mrs. Brown than Helen Mirren. Arthritis and dodgy hips mean that you can't do it for long. But he tells me that certain things are better. You don't have to worry about hormonal birth control, PMT and all that sort of stuff. And you know it's gonna be good when she gives you that look as she's taking her teeth out. You ever blow the dust off the top of a refrigerator? It depends. Worked in a hospital. Have had patients who were 80 plus that were moved from nursing home to nursing home because they had sex with other residents all the time. Unfortunately, some of these people were suffering from dementia or were otherwise impaired, so really couldn't consent and were at risk of catching STDs. But, apparently, older folks still enjoy it. Desire never dies. I have a friend in his 70s who tells me Viagra doesn't help anymore, but he still has desire. When my 90+ dad died, I cleaned out his browser history, never told anyone. As for me, all the desire. Love sex when I have it, but I'm the wrong guy to ask. Marriage partner has major issues. Love it that you did that solid for your pops. When my grandfather died, I cleaned out his old study. I was greeted by a hidden stack of Playgirl, yes Playgirl, magazines. I promptly trashed them and didn't tell a soul. I didn't want anyone in the family to have a warped identity of my grandfather based on sexual ideals. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.